Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to Gale FFTCG. I am Serah, your host, and today we are doing the Fire Rarity review for Opus 23. I've selected 4 cards, one of each rarity that I think are really interesting or worth picking up early on in the set, and I'm just going to talk about them. So, first up, let's just jump straight in here with Caius. Caius is our legendary, and oh, what a legendary this is. This is the kind of shot in the arm that Fire really needed to go from being just kind of mid-tier 2, at least in my estimation, to potentially being tier 1. This card is incredible. 5 CP 9K is above average. It's category 13. There are some relevant effects that can either search for Caius or synergize with kind of that category, so this is cool. Caius has Brave, and when Caius enters the field, you can search for one card named Bahamut, add it to your hand, and during the turn, the cost required to cast your next card named Bahamut is reduced by 5. So we got a new Bahamut that removes something with 9k or less power from the game, and then also removes a card from bin. I think that is the one that naturally leans into Caius, but there's loads of Bahamuts. So I just basically just pull up FF decks or Materia Hunter or whatever you're using as your deck builder of choice and just search Bahamut, and basically most of them become fairly good. Anything below 5 is obviously a primary point, but even the Opus 1 9 CP one going down to just 4 CP for to remove 2 things from game still seems pretty okay. So honestly, I think this is just cool as the first line of text on this card. But there's still more to come, and it's even better than it's even better now, basically. When Caius is put from the field into the break zone, you may discard 3, and when you do so, you play Caius from break zone onto the field dull, which means that you get to search another Bahamut and it's reduced by 5. It's kind of crazy that basically Caius's effect can trigger as many times as it enters the field. It's not this ability only triggers once per turn, etc. It makes a lot of sense, but effectively what you can do is by pitching a ton of cards, you basically can resurrect this, and you have 2 removal spells and everything else. That's really cool. But also, this is really good with Minwu FFBE that got released last set, which basically says if you have no cards in hand, you can play a card out of the bin. So if you maybe have a card you want to play out of the bin, and Caius just died, you just pop it in there, bring it back, and then you're kind of ready to pop off with a Minwu, which is very cool, and I think that card is going to see some synergy. Definitely have a lot of high hopes for Mono Fire just with this card's printing alone. See, if they had printed no other fire cards, I think this card would definitely throw that into at least a competitive level, at least in my mind. We also, in our heroic slot, have Nalapa, and Nalapa is a 2 CP 5k mage, category 6. That's kind of relevant. When your opponent casts a summon, you get to select up to 2 of the 2 following actions. Choose one forward, deal it 10k, or Nalapa deals your opponent 1 point of damage. There are so many summons right now. This card basically makes all your Amaterasus read, do you want to lose a forward? Or do you want to take a point of damage? What's even more crazy about this is that Nalapa doesn't have to choose both modes. You can choose whichever mode you want. This card early, I was watching the YYT's live stream last night, and Steve Dolman was just spouting this card's praises and was like, yeah, if I get this down early enough, it's going to be very hard for you to really kind of do anything to remove it that isn't an ability or anything. I don't think this card is broken beyond broken, but I still think that it creates such a nice niche where summons which have been popular forever, now your opponent actually has to think twice about when they want to use summons, how they want to use summons, and what that means for them. So I think any card that forces players to think more about their game is good for the overall health of the player base. It means that there's a level of mastery that you have to start building towards, which I think at the start of any game, it's maybe not right to do that, but I think we're so far in. We're 23 sets in. I think it's about time that the kind of ceiling goes up as the floor of the game also goes up. So yeah, I think Nilapa is a good sign of the times where the game is starting to get towards a later stage. I think this card is fantastic, and I think it's going to do a lot of good for the game, both in the sense of competitiveness and also for just just expanding the player's ability to play the game well. In our rare slot, we have Kefka. Why is this a rare with art this good? I adore this card. 3CP 7K Mage, category 6, which is relevant. When Kefka attacks, you choose one forward opponent controls and deal it 4K damage. I misread this and thought it could, hit Magissa and things. Don't think that. It only hits forwards. But it does have a really cool damage 5, where Kefka gets plus 2K, haste, and if Kefka deals damage to a forward or your opponent, you double the damage. So this will be dealing 2 points of damage to your opponent, or will be dealing 8K to one of your opponent's forwards. And that is very good. That is, in fact, incredibly good, especially if you have a way of maybe freezing things. Then Kefka swings in, kills one of your opponent's guys, and then also deals 2 points of damage. This card will clinch games. Like, do not sleep on this card. If it's on the board, try and get rid of it as fast as humanly possible. It is a very good card and should not be underestimated. This will likely go in decks like Magissa. I think Magissa really loves this card. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Any category 6 package will obviously be happy to have this. This is the first probably really good playable Kefka in the Ice, Fire, 5CP lock deck. I think there's a lot of good things that this card goes in. It was also very hard to pick the rare slots for this. There are so many good rares in Fire. Every card I was like, wow, that's got to be a hero, wound up being a rare. So, yeah. Just keep an eye on Fire. This set is a very, very well positioned. And last but certainly not least, we've got Parai. I love this card. 2CP 5K, it's a warrior, so it's searchable off of Tyvis. When it enters, you can deal yourself a point of damage, and when you do so, you search for a category FFL character and add it to your hand. You can do this with Serah FFL. There's a few different ways of making this just work. There are some sleeper FFL cards. I think there's a couple of Warriors of Light that are FFL that you could search. You could search 2CP Soul. I just think this has a lot of implications. I know there are some good backups, but it's any character for FFL, so this card will only get better with time. And also dealing some points of damage to yourself to maybe hit an EX burst is kind of fine. I think this is probably one of the best commons in the set. So yeah, that is the end of the video. As always, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if there are any cards you are really excited to see about. I obviously could just not cover all of the Fire cards in this list. There are so many that I love and so many that I want to test with, but this is probably just kind of the one that these are the ones that really jump out in my mind. So yeah, have a great day and a great rest of your week.